I have a reflection on the mood of the text. The fear was in the mood of the text. But I picked up on that mood last Sunday night in worship. And I picked up, but when I read the text, I kept on feeling this fear. Well, that's not too unusual, but I just kept on feeling it. So I wanted to address it in some kind of way, because you may be feeling it too. Even on Wednesday's Bible study, fear was mentioned by Reverend Jess, and Moses gave a testimony of his fears and ours. So, amen, amen. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this. I'm a retired trauma chaplain, so I know about fear that families have when they come into the trauma bay and wondering if Boo was dying from a gunshot wound. I accompanied those folks. And when Lent came around, I felt like the whole world was with us because we were being real. I was being with them in the imposing hospital, the Ivy League hospital, and they were living in the ghetto. So I must confess, I've been a scaredy cat all my life, but I'm a recovering scaredy cat. So the disciples are scared to death. The quasi-religious leaders snatched Jesus by night with the threat of violence. The disciples were ready to fight, then they took flight. Now, Jesus was afraid also, but he poured out his fear to God the Father in Gethsemane. That's happening after the Passover. And he asked God, is there any way to bring back your people? We presume God said no. But now Jesus, getting that word, getting that answer, now Jesus had a made up mind. He would be obedient unto death on the cross. A curse. The chief priests who collaborated with Rome were so also afraid of Rome. They were afraid of Jesus too, Jesus of Nazareth. What if he is the Messiah? What will happen to our status quo? Their response reminds me of the story I heard about two Black women who were about 100 years old. They were sisters. And one of them was campaigning for Barack Obama. And the other sister refused to do so. Why? Because she said, if he wins, what will they do to us? Mr. Backlash. James Farmer, founder of the Congress of Racial Equality, says, courage is not about being afraid, but doing what needs to be done in spite of fear. Can we get an amen for that? I know we all know something about that. Meanwhile, the professional liars bore false witness against innocent Jesus. Isn't there a commandment against that? But that court was a road court. They weren't into the 10 Commandments. When questioned about the bogus charges, Jesus never said a mumbling word. He was cool as a cucumber, as my mom would say. But when he was asked, are you the Messiah? He said, yes, I am. Truth always on his lips. Jesus knew who he was and who he belonged to. He also prophesied what would happen after the crucifixion, the resurrection, and the ascension. Jesus would return in glory, in total freedom from empire for all of us, every last one of us. And we keep working towards that. That day, we keep working to free others from the oppression that is all around us, the fear, the death that's all around us. And we're thankful for that today. So I'm just going to end with the chorus, reminding us of the power that is in the cross, which doesn't even make any sense. There is power, power, life-producing power in the cross of the Lord. There is power, power, life-producing power in the rugged cross of the Lord. Thank you.